from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Good evening. Tonight, Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi takes his campaign to Taraba State, says he will not govern the country from Abuja, but from the states where the nation's potential is located. Will tackle insecurity, address economic deprivation and unite Nigerians. PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar tells Osun residents. APC women rallies support for the party's presidential candidates in Lagos, call on residents to vote for Bola Tinubu to consolidate on the records of the President Buhari.
On business news tonight, African Development Fund mobilizes nearly $9 billion for the continent's low-income countries, the highest in 50 years.
And on sports news tonight, with the 2022 FIFA World Cup now in the last 8, FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the tournament had the best group stages in World Cup history.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, the National Judicial Council reinstates Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia as a judge of the Federal High Court. CJN directs full payment of her outstanding salaries and emoluments from November 6, 2018.
And in international news from London, 25 people have been arrested in raids across Germany on suspicion of plotting to overthrow the government.
It's less than 2 months of the presidential election and political parties continue to ramp up their rallies across the country. Today, the campaign train of the Labour Party's presidential candidates, Peter Obi, moved to Taraba State, where he challenged Nigerians to take back their country. Obi said, despite the huge potential of the country, its people have continued to live in poverty, promising that if voted into power, he will not govern the country from Abuja, but from the states where the nation's potential is located.
The campaign train of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is in Taraba State in the company of his running mate, his wife, and members of his campaign council. He arrives at the palace of the Emir of Mori in Jalingo, where he explains how his administration plans to harness the potential of the state.
Your Highness, Nigeria is collapsing. And it's doing so fast that we have now created 133 million people living in poverty. And Taraba is not an exception. It is happening here where millions of people who don't know where the next meal will come from. And that is what I and Baba Ahmed wants to reverse.
The campaign ground is the Jolly Yame Stadium. The crowd is ecstatic. His running mate, Mr. Yusuf Baba Ahmed, urges the people to focus on the goal of getting the party into Aso Rock in 2023.
Brothers and sisters, I'm saying that there is a war raging in Nigeria now. That war is not between tribes. It is not between faiths. It is between the good people of Nigeria and bad governance. And that war we must win. Nigeria must unite. The meaning of unity is to bring Peter Obi to Nigeria.
Mr. Peter Obi appreciates the crowd and urges them to take back the country.
We are not going to govern from Abuja. We are not going to remain in Abuja. We are going to come to here to fight poverty. We will empower you people. Those people in Abuja, they don't come here. We are going to come here. We are going to make it work. Look at Mandela. Look at the land here. We will cultivate it. We'll make this a tourist center. People will come here. That is what we want to do.
The Presidential Campaign Council of the party says Mr. Obi will be sharing his manifesto with the people as he campaigns from state to state in the coming days.
A federal government controlled by the People's Democratic Party is for the good of Osun State. That's what the PDP's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar told residents of the state today during his campaign rally in Osogbo, the state capital. According to him, the objective of the PDP is to end the current challenge of insecurity, disunity, and economic deprivation, among others.
This authority, by voting PDP in the next general elections, because a federal government controlled by PDP and a state government controlled by PDP in Osun State is to the greater good of Osun people. And our only objective is to make sure that the current challenges of insecurity, disunity, economic deprivation, lack of jobs for our young men and women, and then of course the future of this country through restructuring can be achieved. And this, I promise you, I am going to start doing them from day one. It means empowering Osun State with more resources and authority to do what needs to be done. What needs to be done is to provide the infrastructure needed for development, invest in education and healthcare in Osun State, and bring about industrialization for the economic benefit of the people of Osun State. So, my brothers and sisters of Osun, I have come to say a very big thank you. And I urge you, I appeal to you, I plead with you to come out in greater numbers than you did in the last state election and vote PDP in the next general election. That is the only way you can secure your future and the future of your children. We promise you, we will not fail you. We are not like APC because we have done it before. We have got the experience. We have got the people who have the capacity to bring about changes. We are not new as far as governance is concerned in Nigeria. So, my fellow brothers and sisters and my in-laws, not be so, not be so. Are you going to vote for your in-law or not? Are you? Are you? Oh yeah, let me see your hands.
Dust up your permanent voters' cards and vote for the All Progressives Congress at all levels for consolidation. A charge from the leaders of the APC Women's Presidential Campaign Rally, which held at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Onikon in Lagos. A large number of women from across the southwest and local governments in Lagos, as well as national officials from the APC Women's Presidential Campaign Rally, were in attendance, wooing the electorate to vote for the party. Those present include wives of the APC presidential candidate, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and wife of the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, among others.
We want to deliver 40 million votes for Asiwaju Bola Tinubu in the next general election. Women, the time is now. It's time for us to go house to house, door to door, street to street, church to church, mosque to mosque. We must reach everyone in Nigeria with this message. It's important to also state wherever you kept your PVC, go and dust it off.
As women,
There is a strong need for us to use the 2023 elections to vote for the APC across all levels for consolidation and continuity of the remarkable work and achievements of the present administration. It is crystal clear that the continuity of the APC government is the sure way to greatest progress.
And in Jigawa State, the governorship candidate for the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Mustafa Lamido, is vowing to declare a state of emergency on unemployment in the state. He said this is in an interview with Channels Television during the flag-off of his campaign in Dutse, the state capital. According to the PDP governorship flag-bearer, unemployment has reached an alarming rate in the country. Our correspondent Sadiq Ilyasu has more.
The People's Democratic Party in Jigawa State is gearing up to reclaim power from the ruling All Progressives Congress. And this flag-off of the governorship campaign in Dutse, the state capital, is an indication of their readiness to achieve that. Party flags were presented to candidates who are vying for different offices in the state. For the main opposition party, they have a plan to fix the state while urging the people to vote for them.
Our teaming youth they don't have job, they have nothing to do. That is what is causing the majority of insecurity in this country. So I would declare state of emergency on unemployment.
You cannot tell me that the people are appreciating what is happening in terms of the level of poverty in this country, the level of decay in insecurity infrastructure, the level of intolerance and disunity in this country. People are tired of this nonsense, and they want PDP to come back and rescue them from this, what is happening in this country.
The party also cautions Nigerians not to sell their votes.
I call on all Nigerians to reject their money come 2023 and vote for a credible, experienced person as the President of Nigeria and other positions as governors, House of Representatives, senators, and State House of Assembly.
The party leaders in the state are optimistic that the people will ensure that they reclaim the office in 2023. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Federal High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has dismissed a suit brought against the All Progressives Congress by the People's Democratic Party. In the suit, the PDP prayed the court to nullify the candidacy of all the legislative candidates running on the platform of the APC in the state on the grounds that their primaries were not monitored by the Independent National Electoral Commission and that they failed to comply with the Electoral Act. Presiding Judge Turaki Mohammed, however, dismissed the case, citing lack of jurisdiction based on an earlier judgment from the Court of Appeal, which bars political parties from interfering in the internal affairs of other parties. Counsel to the APC, Emenike Bete, hailed the decision, calling it victory for justice, even as he said the APC candidates are now free to campaign across River State without fear. In part two, after the break, Senate threatens to withhold budgets for 100 federal government ministries, departments, and expresses concern over CBN's new cash withdrawal policy. That's in a moment. Again. Welcome back. If it has joined us to watch the news at 10 live from Channels Television in Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi takes his campaign to Taraba State, says he will not govern the country from Abuja, but from the states where the nation's potential is located. Will tackle insecurity, address economic deprivation, and unite Nigerians, PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar tells Osun residents. APC women rally support for the party's presidential candidate in Lagos. Call on residents to vote for Bola Tinubu to consolidate on the records of President Buhari. 25 people arrested in raids across Germany on suspicion of plotting to overthrow the government. The Senate is threatened to withhold the 2023 capital budgets of 100 federal ministries, departments and agencies until they explain their expenditure of service-wide votes from 2017 to 2021. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, made the threat during plenary today while ruling on a point of order raised by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Accounts, Senator Matthew Rogidi. Some federal lawmakers also expressed concern over the Central Bank of Nigeria's latest cash withdrawal policy. Our correspondent Linda Kigbe has more.
The economy takes center stage during legislative proceedings on Wednesday. The Senate Minority Leader brings to the attention of the upper chamber the Apex Bank's latest policy on cash withdrawal. He wants the Senate to debate the policy.
Just to say that they rolled out lots of policies. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, our commerce, I don't think, is ready for this, and our economy might not take this shock.
However, the Senate President wants lawmakers to be furnished with more details on the policy before debating it.
My personal opinion is, if we want to be a cashless society, we should take time to be a cashless society, not to jump at once into being cashless. Most Nigerians will be out of business. We have an opportunity. The Committee on Banking will be screening deputy governors of the central bank. This is one major issue they should raise with them.
The debate on the new policy is set for next Tuesday, December 13th. Under the new withdrawal policy from January 2023, the CBN is restricting maximum cash withdrawal over the counter by individuals to 100,000 naira per week and 500,000 naira for corporate organizations per week. The new withdrawal regime further sets the maximum cash withdrawal per week through an automated teller machine at 100,000 naira, subject to a maximum of 20,000 naira cash withdrawal per day. Meanwhile, the hammer of the Senate may fall on some federal government ministries, departments and agencies who fail to appear before the Committee on Public Accounts to explain the expenditure of service-wide votes from 2017 to 2021. The chairman of the Public Accounts Committee is unhappy at the failure of heads of 100 federal government agencies to honor invitations sent to them by his committee for required appearance before it to explain their use of service-wide votes.
I want to remind us that we are empowered by Section 88 and Section 89 of the Constitution to summon them, even if that will be by way of issuing a warrant that will compel them, signed by you, so that they can appear before our committee and give account of what they are spending on behalf of the members of the public of our country. Therefore, Mr. President, if you don't mind, I have those agencies we have listed out that have become I don't want to use harsh words that they have become recalcitrant, but they have vehemently refused to appear before our committee. This list of agencies, and of course the amount that is attached or that is against their names that they have spent, they are staggering.
If they have no defense, we shouldn't give them any money in the 2023. We cut their budget until they defend the Auditor General's queries.
The Senate is giving the agencies a one-week deadline to appear before the Public Accounts Committee or risk zero capital budget appropriation. Linda Kibi, Channels Television News.
We'll stay on a little longer in Abuja. Here's Gloria Mizuke with more stories from our Abuja studios. Hi, Gloria.
Thank you, Amarachi. Let's turn attention now to the Judiciary. The National Judicial Council has restated Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia as a judge of the Federal High Court with immediate effect. Channels Television's Judiciary correspondent, Shola Shoyele, cited a circular of the Federal High Court notifying all judges of the court of this decision. The circular, dated December the 5th, was signed by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho. The reinstatement follows a meeting of the National Judicial Council held on the December 1st, 2022. In another circular dated December the 2nd and cited by a correspondent, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, who signed it, directed that Justice Ofili Ajumogobia's outstanding salaries and emoluments from November 6, 2018, when she was supposedly dismissed as a judge of the court, would be paid in full. In November 2016, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission arraigned Justice Ofili Ajumogobia before the courts on allegations of money laundering and breach of public trust. The courts have, however, quashed and dismissed all the charges against her. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Board of Benchers, Mr. Wole Olaonipekun, is urging new lawyers to always uphold the ethics of the profession and desist from acts that could portray it in bad light. He also asked them not to engage in any form of strife, blackmail, or attempt to run or pull anyone down. The senior advocate of Nigeria stated this on the second day of the call to bar ceremony in Abuja.
Of heads of successful candidates of the 2022 bar examinations waiting to be called to the Nigerian bar. Over 4,500 of them successfully completed the September 2022 bar final examinations, and 1,400 of them are participating in this ceremony. They are accompanied to the ceremony by their families and friends. Members of the body of benchers, led by its chairman, Mr. Wole Olaonipekun, file into the hall. Those in attendance include the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, past justices of the Supreme Court, judges of courts, and senior advocates of Nigeria. For the second day in a row, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Yakubu Mekio, who has recently been critical of the chairman of the body of benchers, is absent at the ceremony. The chairman thereafter admits the new wigs into the bar.
I hereby admit each and every one of you standing here this morning, the applicants, severally to the bar as barristers and solicitors of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. You may now put on your wigs.
He charges the new lawyers to uphold the tenets of the profession.
Convey these flagship words in your endeavors, undertakings, and relationship with others. Act nobly in and out of court. Behave honorably in all your dealings with your colleagues and clients, as well as with the bench. For those of you who will end up in the legal practice, and those who will end up on the bench, do not engage in strife, blackmail, mudslinging, campaign of calumny, treachery, or any attempt to run or pull anyone down. Free from envy like a plague, for envy breeds hatred and unjustified contempt for others.
Earlier, the Director General of the Nigerian Law School and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Isa Chiroma, discloses that the new lawyers successfully completed the vocational training as prescribed by the Legal Education Act of 1962 and emerged successful at the August-September 2022 bar final examination.
Today, the Nigerian Law School has had to sustain its amiable growth and development for nearly 6 decades, to the admiration of many. The importance of the Nigerian Law School in manpower training and development for our country cannot be overemphasized, particularly in aspects of administration of justice and sustenance of rule of law.
Prizes were given to the best students.
It has just been like a very long process of learning in and outside the classroom. So learning from experience, every new stage, every new level came with different lessons and experiences which I embraced.
Consistency, hard work, and discipline always pays off in the end. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, but if you keep putting in the work, eventually the results will begin to show.
A total of 4,711 lawyers were called to the Nigerian bar for the September batch, and the expectation is that they will continue to uphold the tenets of the profession.
Away from the judiciary, not less than 120 billion naira has been recovered from those who stole from the government, and that's according to the Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, who maintains that the government's anti-corruption fight is very much on course. Mr. Mohammed stated this at the 8th edition of the President's Scorecard briefing in Abuja, which featured the Minister of Environment. The minister urged Nigerians to hold state governors responsible for allegedly failing to manage flooding in their states after collecting their share of the ecological funds.
It's the 8th edition of the President Buhari's Scorecard series, organized by the Ministry of Information and Culture. And this time, it's the turn of the Minister of Environment.
As a quick reminder of where
the Minister of Information and Culture begins the engagement with a remark on the federal government's anti-corruption crusade.
Please permit me to digress a bit and to say categorically and without any fear of contradiction that the administration's fight against corruption is very much on track. I can confirm that so far the federal government has realized over 120 billion naira.
The Ministry of Environment is in the spotlight as the minister briefs on his achievements in the last 5 years, including the update on the Ogoni cleanup project.
The federal government, as far as we're concerned, we are focused on delivering on the objectives of the Ogoni cleanup. Some of the challenges we are facing, actually, they are from there. People go to court, to obtain orders, either expertise or interlocutory orders, to restrain High Project Office from proceeding on some matters. So sometimes it's not really the making of government. It is the people themselves in one group or the other doing advocacy that tends to slow down the process of High.
While Nigeria typically experiences seasonal flooding, this year's flood is the worst since 2012, and the minister believes state governments have some explanations to do with regards to the usage of ecological funds.
Initially, the federal government handles ecological funds, but the state argued that they must be given their own share of ecological funds. The federal government accepted, and at every fund allocation, they give their own share of allocation to states. So, I think the question should be more to states, what are you doing with your share of ecological funds, not the federal government.
The minister further revealed that the Ministry of Environment has paid the sum of 8.6 billion naira into the Treasury single account as it firms up its internally generated revenue strategy.
Well, when the News at 10 returns, Africa's Development Fund mobilizes nearly $9 billion for low-income countries on the continent, the highest in 50 years. Well, that's in business news. Do join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the News at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. We're staying with the fight against corruption. A total of 435 cars are up for sale as the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission begins the auction of the items in Lagos. The exercise, scheduled to take place across the commands of the Commission, started on Tuesday, December the 6th, with the inspection of items by members of the public. The pictures of the cars, which were displayed with lot numbers for public inspection, were allocated to auctioneers based on assessed values and open ballot system. The display was to provide an opportunity for interested bidders to view and indicate interest in any car of their choice. According to the EFCC, the items are available in 4 locations in Lagos at 40 Bodilon Road, Ikoyi, 15A Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, 14 Cameroon Road, Ikoyi, and CVU Obalende, Lagos. The cars are subjects of final forfeiture orders in line with the EFCC Establishment Act 2004, Public Procurement Act 2007, and the Proceeds of Crimes Recovery and Management Act 2022. Music icon Oladapo Oyebanji, also known as D'banj, has denied any involvement in an alleged fraud linked to the federal government's N-Power scheme. In a statement, D'banj's legal team described the fraud allegations as misconceived, malicious, prejudicial and urging the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, to do its investigation thoroughly and avoid media trial. His lawyers maintain that Debanj has no contract with any group or persons in or outside government in connection with the disbursement, operations, access or control of any government fund. The ICPC had detained the musician in its facility in Abuja after he reported to the headquarters of the Commission following several invitations to him. A statement from the spokesperson of the Commission, Mr. Azuka Ogugwa, explained that the Cocoa Master Crooner is assisting the Commission to unravel the circumstances of fraud associated with the Empower program. The ICPC explains that it has invited about 10 persons over the last few months in connection with the case and have been granted administrative bail after their detention. That's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Maraji.
Thanks, Gloria. Well, in River State, Governor Nyesom Wike has flagged off a construction of 28 roads in one community in Port Harcourt, the state capital. He says the project, with a deadline of 6 months, is part of efforts by his administration to renew the state's capital and to restore its garden city status. Flag-off ceremony was performed by the vice chairman of the People's Democratic Party in the South-South, Mr. Dan Obi.
It's the flag-off of the construction of internal roads in Elekahia town in Port Harcourt, River State, as part of Governor Nyesom Wike's vision to restore the serenity of the state capital. A total of 28 roads are to be reconstructed and resurfaced so the people of the area can commute easily.
This set of internal roads consists of 28 separate roads spread across the entire Elekahia community. The total length of the 28 roads involved comes up to a total of 9,412 meters, which is approximately 9.4 kilometers.
His Excellency, yes, sir.
For Governor Wike, the roads must be completed in 6 months as planned, as he is determined to commission and hand over for use all the projects started by his administration.
I will do something when I know it is time to do something. It's not because pressure. Because if I award a job and there's no money, you say I've abandoned the project, is it not? It's worse. It's better don't even award the project than awarding it and abandoning it. And we have said that this project must be completed in 6 months' time. And we have mobilized the contractor. All the roads here must be motorable before I leave office. All the roads here must be motorable before I leave office.
His latest guest is the vice chairman of the People's Democratic Party in the South-South, Dan Obi, who hails the governor's exceptional leadership in party politics and governance.
Today in Nigeria, you have become a leading voice in our collective struggle for a better nation, where equity and justice is respected.
He then flags off the road. The roads, when completed, will further enhance the aesthetics of Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
Company news now. Globacom's wave-making promo, Festival of Joy, has hit Delta State with a 52-year-old manager with a first-generation bank, Anthony Upu, clinching a brand-new Suzuki Calerio car. The event, which took place at the premises of the Glow World on Sapele Efrun Road, also saw loyal customers going home with other items such as sewing machines, generating sets, and rechargeable fans.
The event is all about the ongoing Globacom Festival of Joy Bonanza, which has now landed in Delta State. In attendance are some Glow ambassadors as well as customers who've keyed into the promo. The lucky winners of the raffle draw are here to receive their various prizes. The raffle draw, which was held at the premises of Glow World, has various categories of winners emerge, and one lucky winner going home with a car.
Today,
a total of 20 houses, 24 brand new cars, 100 generators, 200 sewing machines, and a 1,000 rechargeable fan will be won in the promo.
Price will bring more value to you.
Comedian and moderator Chibuzo Onwoka gives a roll call of expected winners of the Glow promo to ensure that most of them are present to receive their gifts.
First on the list, sewing machine, Vanessa Etua.
It's now time for the prize presentation proper, and the star prize winner is presented with his car.
As of yesterday, I was called, invited to the Glow office in Warri. Only to get here, they broke the news to me that I won a car. Of course, though I'm highly excited, but it is not something that is illusion. It is something I have that conviction that the outcome is going to be that I will win this car.
Other prizes won include generator sets, sewing machines, and rechargeable fans, all presented to the individual winners. For Globacom, the promo is an opportunity to reward loyal customers, putting smiles on their faces, as well as a platform to give back to the society.
This is basically what we do on a yearly basis. Every year we give back, so it has become an annual event.
Festival of Joy promo is done annually and has produced many lucky winners across the country. But to be an eligible winner, subscribers have to dial *611# to join the promo.
Stakeholders in Nigeria's oil and gas industry have called on indigenous players in the sector to take full advantage of the federal government's local content policy to maximize investment opportunities in it. The call was made in Oyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, during the 11th edition of the Practical Nigerian Content Forum, organized by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board.
Recent global events, including the war in Ukraine, have magnified the need for all nations to invest in gas for power. It has increasingly become clearer that energy security should be a priority for every country. This is born of the need to hold back emissions from fuel.
The theme of this year's meeting.
This is the 11th Annual Practical Nigerian Content Forum, organized by the Nigerian Content Development Board. Critical stakeholders in the oil and gas industry are gathered here to x-ray challenges and opportunities which the gas revolution presents for indigenous players in the energy industry.
It is gratifying that the push for Nigerian content as envisaged in our 10-year strategic roadmap has continued to yield results in the last 5 years. Out of the 96 initiatives under the strategic roadmap, we have completed 77 initiatives, largely under the short and medium-term categories as at November 2022.
It's clear that gas plays a critical role as the world journeys towards net zero. Speakers at the event laud the federal government's commitment to the success of the local content policy, but not without challenges.
The government's effort in deepening local content in the Nigerian oil and gas industry is paying dividends, and it is imperative that this effort is sustained and greater focus placed on bridging the capacity gap and addressing the funding challenges.
The growing participation of Nigerians and Africans in the development of the nation and the continent is the real direction for sustainable economic development.
And therefore, it is a huge opportunity for investors. It is really an opportunity of our industry to leverage the potentials that we have, both in terms of the resources that we have, the skilled people that we have, and then the commitment of government that we are still witnessing today to deliver all this for the benefit of our companies and for our businesses.
The Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, representing Governor Udom Emmanuel, expresses confidence that the outcome of the forum will certainly impact positively on the oil and gas industry.
The theme of this year's meeting, deepening the Nigerian content opportunity in the decade of the gas, is therefore apt because it draws attention to gas utilization.
And some participants bear their minds on the event. Considering the support for the participants at this event, it's suggested that indigenous players in Nigeria's oil and gas sector will certainly receive a major boost.
It draws attention to gas utilization.
That takes us to business news. Here's Melinda Akilami.
banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Many thanks, Amarachi. Welcome to Business News. The African Development Fund, ADF, an arm of the continent's multilateral lender, AFDB, has committed $8.9 billion to support Africa's low-income countries, the largest replenishment in the history of the fund. The package for the 2023 to 2025 financing cycle comes as the ADF marks its 50th anniversary amid global economic climate and fiscal challenges. The $8.9 billion package will support climate resilience infrastructure, governance, sustainable debt management, amongst others. As part of efforts to solve the continuous fuel crisis in the nation's capital, Abuja, and some parts of the country, the federal government has granted permission to 21 filling stations to begin 24-hour services in the Federal Capital Territory. The filling stations include NNPC Mega Zone 1, AYM Shafar Galki, Adova Apo, AA Rano Yanya, and Salbas Lube. The Nigerian Exchange Group, NGX, has held its 2022 edition of its Made of Africa Awards. The hybrid event, which was held in Lagos, is aimed at rewarding organizations and individuals that have exhibited excellence in value creation and impact on the Nigerian capital market. Meanwhile, a former Director General of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Dr. Ndi Okereke-Onyekwe, has lent her voice to the growing calls for the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, to be listed on the local bourse. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television at the Made of Africa Awards, Dr. Okereke-Onyekwe listed some of the benefits that await both the NNPC Limited, investors, and the Nigerian economy.
The only way we can save NNPC is to list NNPC on the stock exchange. For all Nigerians that want to buy shares of NNPC, even if it's 10 naira, 10,000, 5,000, 20,000, you can buy and become a shareholder. And if it's that NNPC is thrown to the market now, I guarantee you that 90% of the shares will be bought by Nigerians. Then the government can keep a little controlling shares, like about 10-15%, if they want. But the government really has no business running business. Government has no business running business. So if they want to NNPC to survive, for NNPC to be what it ought to be to Nigerians, it has to be quoted on the stock exchange. I was just sitting with the chairman.
About the equities market is on a roll this week, all looking green for 3 straight days. John Mekwa tells us more.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the bull is still on the winner's seat, but his grip doesn't seem so tight as midweek gains on the all-share index. It's just about 0.1%, 0.12% to be precise. And just slight addition to the all-share at the close of trade. This means 33 billion naira added to the market value. That's when we compare the market cap today and yesterday. Major drivers of that gain are in the consumer goods counter. Nestle, Nigerian breweries, and Honeywell, they benefited from bargain hunting today. That makes consumer goods positive, almost 1%. And that's about the only green that we had at the close of trade today. Banking lost that marginal gain it had yesterday, and that's because Zenith Bank, GTCO, Sterling Bank, UBA, they all shared from their share prices at the close of trade, and that's red. It's spread to the activity chart, all in red. Volume value deals, all in the red. This may just mean that perhaps profit taking is spreading wider, might spread even wider tomorrow, but we will wait and see. That's the Stock Market Report. I'm John Mekwa. It's back to you.
Many thanks, Ini. Now let's check out the performance of other major global equities. That's Business News. Back to you, Amarachi.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Melinda. German authorities have arrested 25 people on suspicion of plotting to overthrow the government. The group of far-right and ex-military figures are said to have been prepared for a Day X to storm the Reichstag Parliament building and seize power. Simon Pusey has more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. 25 people have been arrested in raids across Germany on suspicion of plotting to overthrow the government. A minor aristocrat, described as Prince Heinrich XIII, here being led away by police, is alleged to have been central to their plans. According to federal prosecutors, he is one of 2 alleged ringleaders among those arrested across 11 German states. The group of far-right and ex-military figures are said to have prepared to storm the Parliament building, the Reichstag, and seize power. The plotters are said to include members of the extremist Reich movement, which has long been in the sights of German police over violent attacks and racist conspiracy theories. In August 2020, protesters stormed the steps of Germany's Reichstag Parliament building, some of them holding far-right flags during mass marches against coronavirus curbs. Bavarian Interior Minister Joachim Herrmann called it one of the largest terrorist organizations from right-wing sectors in recent years. At least 33 people have died after a landslide buried a bus in northwestern Colombia, while 9 have been rescued alive. The landslide, caused by strong rains, hit the vehicle between the villages of Pueblo Rico and Santa Cecilia in Risaralda province, around 230 kilometers northwest of the capital Bogota. The bus was traveling from Cali, Colombia's 3rd largest city, to the municipality of Condoto in Choco province. Colombia's president described the incident as a tragedy. China is lifting its most severe COVID policies, including forcing people into quarantine camps just a week after landmark protests against the strict controls. People with COVID can now isolate at home rather than in state facilities if they have mild or no symptoms. They also no longer need to show tests for most venues and can travel more freely inside the country. The sweeping changes indicate China is finally moving away from its zero COVID policy. It comes as the country is grappling with its biggest wave of infections, over 30,000 each day. At least 155 people have been injured after 2 trains collided on the outskirts of Barcelona. The crash, which occurred around 7:50 in the morning, took place at a station in Spain's northeastern Catalonia region. Local media reported that the trains had been travelling in the same direction and collided while one was parked at the station. Catalan police are investigating how the incident occurred. A Mozambican court has found a former president's son and 10 other people guilty on charges relating to a $2 billion hidden debt scandal that crashed the southern African nation's economy. 8 of 19 individuals, including state security officials, who had been on trial on charges such as money laundering, bribery and blackmail, were acquitted by the court. Armando Dambi Guebuza, son of the former president Armando Guebuza, was sentenced to 12 years in prison for his role in the scandal, which saw hundreds of millions of dollars in government-backed loans disappear. Others who were convicted were handed sentences of between 10 and 12 years. And spider-like robots could soon be inspecting Japan's sewer pipes in the not-too-distant future. A robotic startup has announced that it has developed the SPD-1 robot made to carry out inspections of Japan's aging sewerage system as the industry grapples with labour shortages. The robot measures approximately 25 centimetres in width and height and weighs around 3.5 kilograms, which makes it at least 60 to 70% lighter than most conventional robots. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Now, FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the 2022 World Cup in Qatar had the best group stages of any World Cup in history. Infantino cited the big upsets, the fans, the games and goals as he expressed his hope that the tournament will continue to entertain as it moves to the quarterfinal phase. And Dutch captain Virgil van Dijk says he has only respect for Argentina's Lionel Messi, but believes unity in the Netherlands camp can make a difference in Friday's World Cup quarterfinal. The South Americans came out on top when the two sides met in the semi-final of the 2014 tournament, going through on penalties after a tense goalless draw. And England defender Kyle Walker says he has plenty of respect for Kylian Mbappe, but will not roll out the red carpet for the PSG forward in quarterfinal clash against France on Saturday. The mouth-watering clash between the two free-scoring teams takes place with France looking to repeat their success at Russia 2018 and England trying to win the World Cup for the first time since 1966. And that's it on Sports News. It's back to Amarachi with the wrap of the news at 10.
Thanks, Victor. And the main news again. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi today took his campaign to Jalingo in Taraba State, where he said he would not govern the country from Abuja, but from the states where the nation's potential is located. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.